Say that there is a normal person. She or he sees their family, their mom, their dad, their dog. My perspective of family, I live with my mom and my stepdad. My other brother lives with me. My dad hates my mom. My older brother hates my mom, and I can't see either of them. It's not fair that any family goes through this. It breaks up your family, makes life harder, and you just don't see the world the same.
Every 60 seconds, a child loses contact with one parent permanently because of what's going on in the family court system.
One parent gets to be a parent, and the other gets to be, at best, a visitor, and at worst, completely erased.
It destroys lives, it bankrupts people every day, it tears children from their homes, and just so happens to be a $50 billion a year industry.
It's an epidemic that people don't realize that this country and other countries are going through. Nobody wants to talk about it until it happens to you.
This isn't a father's rights issue. It's not a mother's rights issue. It's a human right issue.
My parents' divorce was so messy that after I graduated from university, I moved literally halfway across the world to Argentina. Anything I could do to get away from them. But divorce and its effects on kids kept following me. And I made a film called Erasing Dad, Borrando Papá, that exposes the discrimination fathers face when they want to be in their kids' lives after divorce. The film's release caused the law in Argentina to be changed so that moms and dads could share joint custody. It also helped me to heal and reconnect with my family, and I returned to the United States. I wanted to make a follow-up film, and after a post on Facebook, my inbox was flooded with desperate pleas for help. Why were all these families reaching out to me, a filmmaker? Why were the family courts unable to help them? I decided to tell the stories of the ignored victims of family court, the children.
I was only 5 years old. One day we're all good, we're all happy, and then the next is like, oh, my dad's no longer in the picture.
I didn't really know what was happening at the time.
My first memory that I have is my parents fighting.
I have more bad memories than good memories.
The day my dad moved out was extremely hard. I was crying all the time.
When I was born, my parents were in the middle of a divorce. So the first time my dad saw me, I was in my grandma's arms in a courtroom. My mom only had one photo. It was a picture of him, and he was holding my sister, Chelsea. A lot of me wanted to have a relationship with my biological father. I remember asking my mom every day, has Dad called, has Dad called? She kept telling me, maybe he's just busy, and then that turned into, he's not your dad. I was informed that basically he was poison to me and he would manipulate me if I was ever in contact with him. When I was reading the divorce file, though, there was a lot of things I didn't know happened. There's flaws in the system. I've never known a life where one parent wasn't missing.
I think that as a child, like I kind of knew it was coming subconsciously. You know, there's moments that I have flashbacks where I could see, you know, the door close. I could be standing in the hallway, just hear them screaming, so I just kind of disappear. So when my parents got divorced, I was 12 years old. My father was like, pack your things. We're gonna go, you know, visit your grandma for a little while.
When they left, he pulled him out of school, and I didn't know what to do. I was so overwhelmed with what was going on. I was living up in Pennsylvania because I was in the military. They ended up in Virginia.
Karen, my stepmom, I also call her mom, she came into my life when I was about 14.
Initially, I was there practically every weekend. So the visits started to decrease every month, and then I was stopped. Sometimes it was because the children would call me and say they didn't want to come. Sometimes I would get an email saying, well, the kids don't want to see you this weekend. It was signed by my ex, but it sounded like his wife.
I was just so confused. It really felt like she didn't want anything to do with me.
I can't even really answer why the whole thing happened. I was never on drugs. I had no criminal background. I had no psychological issues other than being heartbroken because I lost my children.
Me and my older brother had a really good relationship most of our lives. And we would play video games together, and everything was normal, like a normal sibling.
My older son always looked up to his father. My ex-husband and I separated, and at that time, my son realized that if he didn't side with his father, likely he wouldn't have his father in his life. So he had to choose mom or dad. And I think it was a survival mechanism, and he chose his father.
It just seems like one day out of the blue, he's just angry at her.
He would come home from their dad's and say I was horrible and demand whatever their dad wanted at the time.
Then he would always say, like, I want to kill her.
That wasn't my son, but he was being so influenced that that's how he had to act towards me.
Oftentimes she just starts crying on my shoulder, but I don't know how to help her.
I get reminded every day, like, your dad sucked.
My dad and my stepmom sat me down and discussed with me how awful of a person my mom was.
I don't think my mom wanted me to have any contact with my father.
Growing up, I learned to hate him.
As I got older, my dad said, you owe your loyalties to me because I've been here for you and your mom hasn't, and your mom left you.
It's a constant reminder because I am my father's child, so.
I began studying parental alienation approximately 3 years ago. I started looking around to people who have been affected by this on Facebook groups and support groups, and I didn't get any answers. I thought it's time to put some serious scientific attention to this problem.
Parental alienation. The set of behaviors that a parent will do to try to distance their child or hurt the relationship between the child and the other parent. Okay, so these...
It can be very subtle. They can refer to the other parent in pronouns, completely undermining their role as a parent. The custodial parent really colors the way that child perceives events. Obviously, you trust and love your parent, and you want to believe that what they're telling you is correct. That child is then expressing and parroting back what they're hearing.
How many of you have had it happen to you? Just by a show of hands. That's about, I'd say about 40%. I ask this of every class that I teach. It's heartbreaking to me to see how many of you are dealing with this.
I was trying to estimate the scope of the problem, and we conducted a poll in order to do that. 13% of these adults reported feeling alienated from one or more of their children, and what that comes out to is over 22 million American adults are feeling like they are being alienated from their children. If there's 22 million adults dealing with this, that's over 22 million children. And the mental health consequences on that child are severe and long-lasting.
I therefore find that X is an alienated child and that he has been alienated from his mother by the words, actions, and behavior of his father. The Child Custody and Access Report found that Brandon was alienated. I knew something was wrong before that. I just hadn't heard of a name for it. The judge did take away Dad's access for a month as sort of a warning because of behavior that was going on. So the judge was really swift in his actions. But the problem is, if one parent wants to make things difficult, it's almost impossible to get things in front of the judge. If they're not turning up for their court dates, if they're hiding from process servers and things, they can drag it on, and the judge can't do anything about that.
I've went to about 4 counselors. The counselor, he asked us to draw a picture of how we felt. I drew a house split in half with Brandon and my dad on one side and me, my middle brother, and my mom on the other side. And it was just cut in half.
I ended up leaving high school in my second sophomore year and went to beauty school at 15.
See how your layers kind of cascade together now?
My ex and I divorced while she was pregnant with Ashlyn, and then we had a big argument over the phone, and the next morning I was served with a restraining order. This was a permanent order of protection.
Kept everything. It amazes me that I go through all of this, and nowhere in here does she say I'm a bad father. Our divorce is our divorce. What we went through, what she did to me, what I did to her, what our relationship was, has nothing to do with our children.
Your Honor, I wish it to be known that all I am after is to have unsupervised visitation and joint custody of my daughters. My children are very important to me, and I am very important to them.
This was the worst paper I ever had to file.
He's scared to continue any type of attempt for visitation because of some threat.
I feel it's best to withdraw my petition for visitation.
Although I have not been afforded the opportunity to see my youngest daughter, I love both of my children.
My ex-wife will go to any extreme in her vendetta against me and others. Therefore, I withdraw my petition and pray the situation will change in the future. And I will become a part of my daughter's lives.
It's just hard because you're, reading a letter that your parent feels hopeless.
I lost him.
Here, I don't know when's the last time you've seen this.
Peanut head.
I mean, they're just pictures of his life. Look how cute you were, though. I should give this to you. We had a good 4 years where we were just extremely nasty to each other.
It was almost like this enmeshed situation through divorce where it was like team mom or team family in Virginia. My family started asking me about the divorce and my choice. I felt like my support system was right there in front of me, so it was a pretty simple answer at the time.
You can always look back at a situation and say, oh, I probably could have done this and, been a little nicer about it or welcomed her more, but had better conversations. But no, I think she disappeared on her own.
This is a transcript of when I went to pick my kids up. I rolled down the window, asked Rick if the kids are going to get in the car. And he said, that is up to the kids. They can decide what to do.
No, they do not have to come to the door. They don't, yeah, I think they do. They are old enough that they can express their wishes to you directly, and I can express them to you. I'm not the one who's telling you can't see them, hon. It's not me. It's never been me. It's them. Really? Okay. You ready to go? Sure. All right. Cheerio.
I was calling the police, I called the courts, I called whoever I could think of to help me. And they were like, oh, no, sorry, there's nothing we can help you with. Unless they do something physically harming the children, we can't intervene with this. I just went through all these emails. And this is all the stuff I had to provide to the court. So I was more angry with the courts than I was with what was happening because they wouldn't, it was like, it's almost like the thought that there's no gray area. It's all black and white. It was almost like they were looking to assign blame to somebody rather than figure out a way to make it work for everybody. All I wanted was to have a relationship and be able to see my children. And I felt that there had to be a better way to do this, and what I was experiencing was not it.
I think it was about 8. There was a custody battle that happened.
When the divorce was final, I saw my dad every other weekend.
It was supposed to be 51-49, my dad to my mom. Eventually went to I was only living at my mom's.
My mom hired the most expensive lawyer to make sure that she got sole custody.
The family court system is mandated to work in the best interest of the children. But what actually goes on behind the closed doors of family court?
If you watch any of the law shows, you come in today and you're in court tomorrow. That's not how it works. You're talking usually 6, 8, 12 months down the road. And during that period of time, it's very traumatic for children.
Too many cases, not enough judges. I was responsible for over 1,000 cases. Some days I would have 15, 20 hearings.
That you were in fear of imminent serious bodily harm. Isn't that true?
Family court really sets the stage for conflict because that is the nature of the legal process. It's adversarial.
If a parent is angry, I want the parent to continue talking, even though what is being said is not relevant. You always have to listen.
Mr. DeHaven, please make sure the questions are clear and don't ask redundant questions.
If you have a parent who has mental health issues, control issues, that person can keep coming back to court. Even if a person cries wolf, wolf 4, 5, 6 times.
In criminal court, the state has to pass certain tests to file charges, but not so in family court. One parent can bring the other parent back to court for something as serious as domestic violence or as petty as not liking the food they feed their child. Family court doesn't have to find a parent guilty of a crime, only that the other parent is the better parent. So evidence standards are much looser in family court than in criminal court.
They are not looking for clear evidence to support or refute either parent's claims, and that's very problematic.
We have a lot of stereotypes that are negative for the fathers. They're more abusive or aggressive than mothers, that they're deadbeat dads.
Would you agree that's the definition?
We have a lot of very positive stereotypes about mothers being the better parent. However, if a mother works, that is often used against those mothers. The other pattern is that the father will make the mother look like she's crazy, and everybody looks crazy in divorce.
While the courts are mandated to work in the best interest of the child, nowhere in the civil code is this term defined. So judges, custody evaluators, and psychologists can make findings based on opinions that they don't have to justify or show scientific evidence to validate.
Approximately $28 billion has been an estimate of how much this costs a year for family court involvement. It's to psychologists who have to get assigned or appointed by the court to make an evaluation. They get paid thousands of dollars. Expert witnesses that parents have to call. It's an industry because all of these pieces play a role.
I've had at least 4 or 5 counselors and doctors, 3 or 4 lawyers. It's cost close to $1 million.
Because it is civil court, you have no right to an attorney. This presents a barrier to families who can't afford to pay for one.
The attorney I had didn't want to do his job because I wasn't able to pay him in full. He could have talked about the parental alienation and said something referring to that, and he didn't say a word because I couldn't pay him.
I had nobody. And on a $600 a month income, can't afford anybody.
How is destroying a parent financially and emotionally in the child's best interest?
Nothing I said mattered. None of the evidence I brought forward mattered. The judge wouldn't even look at it. I mean, like, literally wouldn't look at it. My ex said plain and clearly that there was nothing that I could do to get to see my kids. And the judge asked me what I wanted, and I said, I want you to find her in contempt of court. And the judge wouldn't do it. He said, that's the children's caretaker. And I said, what am I? And he goes, you're the financial support. And I get a phone call from my ex. She said, your children want to see you. They want to be in your life. And I said, how soon can you come over?
When I first met my dad at 10, I remember pulling up in the car and he was like smiling like ear to ear.
My wife was elated. My other daughter was excited.
My dad took my sister Carola and I and Chelsea to go do like a family photo shoot thing. And I just remember feeling really happy because we were all together.
God, it was such a blessing.
It was actually a very good visit. We met at a park, so they were able to play on the toys and feed the geese.
I knew he was somehow family in one way or another, but it's like I didn't know him. It didn't really feel like a father-daughter thing because I didn't have that sort of connection with him.
I think I was 4. They got to come stay for a little bit. We used to play Polly Pockets together. He made me feel very secure about every issue I ever had growing up, wondering where he was. He got a tattoo on his back of my birthday, and I was informed by my mom and my stepdad that that tattoo got removed, and it hadn't. The visits with my dad ended kind of abruptly.
My ex said, you know, with what they take out of your checks for child support, I know that you struggle. And I would like to help with that. So I have an idea.
The last time that I remember seeing my dad, he was signing papers.
Ashlyn's crying, I'm crying, and I've got my kid's stepdad telling me, don't worry, I'll make sure she never takes your children away from you again.
By that point, Robert had been their dad for a few years. It just seemed like the next step.
I knew something big was gonna happen.
I've got her sitting there telling me, it's not gonna change anything. You're still their daddy, you're still their daddy. And the minute the papers were signed and the car doors were shut and everybody drove off, that was the last time I saw him.
The purpose of me meeting my father when I was 10 wasn't really about what I wanted from it or anything like that. It was just to get the adoption to go through.
I signed my rights. I'm ashamed, I'm embarrassed, I hate myself every day for it.
It sometimes felt as if my parents wanted me to choose sides. Like, they'd be like, what do you think?
They basically left it up to us whether we wanted to see him or not.
To pick a parent at 5, I probably wouldn't know who to pick at all.
His knees are.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Go wave.
I found out that Brian was adopted by Karen, I believe, through an email. Ooh, okay. I was angry and heartbroken.
Is that when you adopt somebody, everything about the person disappears and it all starts over?
I think she was like much more like making a bigger deal than I was. She was really excited and felt like she was like pretty nervous, or maybe a little nervous to ask me.
So on it says certificate of birth. Like, I gave birth to you on this day. That's how this is written. Like, it wipes everything else out before that, and now this is your legal document. So if anybody searched your birth, this is what they would see. They would see that I am now on your birth certificate as if I gave birth to you.
To me, Karen was mom, and it was important to her.
It's like that never happened, and this did.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to make
look
things
at
happen,
it.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I really didn't even think about Caroline at the time.
This is a card I sent to my daughter that I took a picture of so she would know that I sent it. And I did that with many cards that I sent them. This was a photo that was taken when she was little. Oh, God. All right. The adoption paperwork for Katie. I received an email from Karen saying that Katie wanted to be adopted also. By that point, she wasn't talking to me anymore, really. She didn't want anything to do with me. It just says who we are and my consent to the adoption.
How do you feel when you read that?
Not good. My daughter testified on the stand and said that she didn't want to see me. And it was in open court. I watched the whole thing. I was sitting right across from her looking at her while it was happening.
As soon as society and the legal system starts to ask a child, who should you choose to live with? Who would you like to live with? Then right away, they are asking a child to make a choice about who's a better parent. And that means one parent gets to be a parent and the other gets to be, at best, a visitor, and at worst, completely erased.
Like I would just say it's just easier to not talk to her, and it was just such an easy decision. And in reality, there's no way that a decision like that could have been easy. So in turn, that's how I started building my walls. They're like screw you walls, like no one's getting in here. As a kid, we just don't want the stress of having to figure all this out.
I think the parents a lot of times aren't even conscious of the conflict they're creating for the child or the way they're manipulating them. One of the concerns when you interview a child is they come into a stranger's office in an uncomfortable setting. They've been brought here by one or the other parent. The other one's sitting out there. They feel incredibly conflicted. And so I don't know that we get accurate information from children when they come in.
I just want to see my mom. Sophie, do you want to go see your daddy? Can you tell me why? Because I don't.
What I remember about being in court was having to lie to the judge.
I had one case that sticks in my mind where the child wrote me and told me that all of the things she had complained about in detail had all been a lie.
My stepdad was going to be my real dad now. I remember telling Mom something along the lines of, I don't feel this way about my stepdad. I don't want my stepdad to be my dad. And she told me that basically that was too late to say that, and it was out of my hands at that point. I was scared, to be honest, so I lied. And I said, yeah, I'm okay with this. I'm comfortable with this. This is what I want. And I felt a lot of guilt for that for a long time. Like it was my fault that I felt that way because I should just rewire my brain and think the way they think, which was that I shouldn't have a relationship with him. I started smoking when I was 12, cutting myself regularly. I don't recall any kind of follow-up or checkup. I was never talked to by a social worker or a psychologist on anything about it. I had a boyfriend I had a talk with him one day about my situation with my father.
She just felt like she couldn't really talk about her father, Dizzy, around her mother and her stepfather. And I just gave her somebody in her corner to fight for her decision on whether or not she wanted to pursue it. The worst thing that could happen is, you never talk to him again, but the best case scenario is so much brighter than that,
I contacted Dad. I was on the phone with my dad for the first time since I was 10, and it was like the most crazy feeling. Then I found out that my mom and my stepdad started listening to our phone calls. I got into a very vicious argument, and I ended up getting kicked out.
She had called me and let me know that she was homeless. She was 14. And I have no legal right to drive up and pick her up. She's not my child according to the courts.
They came to pick me up, my stepdad and my mom, and basically told me that if I wanted to live in that house and have a happy family, I needed to cut ties with my real father. The family kind of changed after that. Things were different. People weren't really acknowledging me. People were treating me poorly. I felt like I was the enemy in my own house.
About 60 or 70 of these interviews. Just like with domestic violence, people blame the victim. What did this parent do? They must be doing something to make this child not want to see them. It shows an ignorance of what human development is like and the power that a parent has in that child's life and how they perceive the world. This child has been brainwashed. They hate that parent, or they inherently don't trust them. They don't like them, and they don't have a good reason for it.
My dad had my brother snoop through my mom's paperwork.
And I got to the point where I resented going with my father. I would yell at him. I would say, I hate you. Why are you doing this?
It was always ingrained in me that my mom was the enemy and that I shouldn't want to see her.
And how much of a liar she was, and all these terrible things about her that I knew wasn't true.
What goes through the mind of a child trained to hate a parent? We talked to Candace, who was brave enough to come forward.
I became deeply fearful of my dad. Iranian culture is not exactly popular in the United States, and my mom showed me that film Not Without My Daughter.
We're not going back, we're staying here. I want us to live in Iran.
And told me this is what your dad's culture is. They're all kidnappers, they want to steal children and hurt women. She really wanted to erase our identity. It was really a very slow process of conditioning me into accepting statements that I otherwise would not have believed. My dad would go to hug me and I would reject him. And I confronted him every chance I got to scream and yell at him about why he was a bad person, why his culture was so bad, and rejecting everything that made him him. When I was at his house, when he would manage to get visitation, I would go through his papers. I knew what I needed to do when I was around his information, and that was to steal it and give it to my mom so she could get him fired and this and that. And that's what she would do. She would call these companies and make accusations pertaining to his national origin. That's one of the hardest things, because there was a lot of abuse in my house growing up with my mom, and those scars are there, but the scars of guilt are just as powerful. And I can't take it back. I can't get time back. And no matter how many times
I tell myself or someone else tells me that there was nothing I could do, that I was going to be powerless to this campaign of denigration, and thinking, I need to tell somebody. And the thought that would always stop me is, who's going to listen? They don't listen to my dad. He's an adult. Who's going to listen to a 10-year-old? And then what's going to happen to me? They're not going to give me to my dad. And I don't even know that I know him anymore. What if some of the stuff my mom says is true? What if I'm wrong? I'm just a kid.
After half a decade in family court, a drastic ruling. No contact between the father and any of the children until family therapy had been completed. As the courts often don't diagnose alienation, the judgment made the local papers, which published the entire 120-page ruling.
The ruling was made that he should enter a family reunification program and have temporary no communication with the father. I believe that the father had no intention on Brandon participating in the program. And so there were plans made for him to leave.
We get a phone call. He's in England.
After the ruling, Brandon ran away from home at age 16. His father claimed he didn't know where he was, but he was given money and a passport and resurfaced in a family friend's home in the UK, his father's birthplace.
He wanted all the orders dropped for him to be able to just go straight back to his dad's house. That would be the only way he would come back. I'm going to read the CAF-CAS report from Child Protection Services in the UK. Brandon said nothing that helped in my understanding of what has caused the breakdown of his relationship with his mother. The judge in England decided that he could stay there and he would be made ward of the court and that she could not force him to get on the plane to come back.
What a stupid judge. Like, you basically just ruined my life.
It is just like a death. You completely lose your child, but it never ends. It's like walking around with a knife in your heart and it just keeps getting twisted.
My sister was very similar to my mom, and she became very angry and hated my father.
Growing up, we never had that relationship as brothers.
My dad basically took my little sister away, and he moved away.
I haven't seen my brother probably since I was 1.5 or 2.
After I hit like 5, I didn't see them again until she was 18. I just remember when my dad got a phone call from the two of them, orchestrated by somebody else, saying that they didn't want to see us anymore, and I took it personally. I had this like permanent idea that my sisters didn't want to be in my life. I tried to reach out to Chelsea on like 3 separate occasions, and she told me she didn't want anything to do with me.
Did she give you a reason?
She didn't give me a reason.
I never knew that. How old were you?
I was 10.
I never knew that. Sorry.
It's okay.
What did your message say?
I'm Carla, your little sister, and I miss you.
The last time I spoke to my older sister was through a message that I sent her on social media.
She'd been at odds with mom and dad for a while. There was something she said that just rubbed me the wrong way, and I just shot her a message and let her know, that really upsets me. I'm uncomfortable with this. I need some space, just because I needed to not be a part of that. And she put it on my mom as, you know, this is you telling Chelsea what to do. This is you pulling Chelsea away. The Facebook post, it was like a picture of an angry woman, and it was something about, go ahead and disagree with me. I'll just say you beat me and you'll never see your kids again. Don't get me wrong, I totally agree that there's always a bias in a divorce court. Sometimes the men, you know, are made to look like the bad guys. It really sucks. But he kept deflecting this like towards my mother. It made me angry. And I let him know, you know, hey, I don't appreciate you talking about me like this. I don't appreciate you talking about my mother like this. You know, I'm my own person. I have my own life up here. You know, I have Robert who's raised me, and I consider him my father, and I'm sorry, but that's that.
My parents fought about everything from who pays for the sport.
They are the kind of people to fight over money a lot. My dad wasn't helping out whatsoever, and my mom was like, no, you know, you have 4 kids.
Decided to, you know, file child support, and that takes, you know, most of his money out of his check because he's working at a grocery store. So what is that, you know? Nothing.
I was childish, immature, and angry. You're not going to let me see my kids, I'm not going to give you the money. And it took them about 3 or 4 months to find me and garnish my wages. And I got $12.45 that paycheck, $2.05. This is my favorite. I got a paycheck for 0. I paid her off, and now I'm paying California off. The money that I'm paying goes directly to the state. You know, I mean, it could go for anything. I mean, garbage collecting, pothole repairs, I have no idea. I just know that the state continues to take money. Not a dime of money that I pay out to child support goes to any of my children. Not a single penny. I owed so much because they charged such a large amount of interest that it just built up and built up and built up.
Dizzy isn't the only parent who found himself in debt to the child support system. The child support system can lead to parents being erased. Child support creates a financial incentive for parents to fight for more parenting time. In many jurisdictions, more custody time means more child support, with even 1 extra night making a huge difference. States also earn more federal dollars to enforce child support. And if shared parenting means no child support, then there is a disincentive to grant joint custody or to make it the default option. A parent can lose their driver's license, passport, and even be incarcerated for not paying child support. But because it's civil court, you have no right to a public defender. And the worst part? In many cases, the support doesn't go to the kids. The state keeps flat fees, percentages, interest payments, and will hold on to all of it if the custodial parent receives welfare. The billions of dollars spent on child support enforcement could be spent on programs that help families, like mediation, mental health services, and enforcing custody orders.
We are at the Shasta County Child Support Division office to make my final payment on child support. That's it. I am over this frickin' place. And if they weren't so nice, I would drop 2 fingers up at this building.
No one comes out saying, I want to be a bad parent. I want to be a bad dad. Life circumstances, as well as things that happen to them, do that. And most of that is about economics. You know, we have to change our perception and our vision of fathers.
The idea of the deadbeat, especially the deadbeat dad, is an outdated and incorrect idea.
Anybody in here want to share a situation where they're paying child support, but they're not able to see their children as much as they would like to?
All in all, for all my kids, I pay $1,175 a month in child support. And I have seen my twins 2 times in 9 months.
I wasn't able to really put up much of a fight in court because I was making $30 every 2 weeks.
These fathers are not deadbeat, they're dead broke.
When I speak to some men who vent their frustrations about the child support system and why they're angry, I explain to them that child support is a business. If you don't pay your child support, you're gonna go to jail.
We heard from dozens of parents who said the state's child support system is broken and failing families.
Turner paid a total of $1,935 in child support, but News 5 Investigates learned his ex only received $1,386. And while the Department of Human Services would not tell us specifically where it was deposited, they did tell us they kept it.
The officer told him he's a deadbeat dad, he's under arrest.
The system of child support and how we put that into place are barriers to successfully having fathers involved with their children's lives. That's not the intent, but that's certainly the result.
They hold your passport if you're back behind on child support. They take your driver's license. And CDL too, right? CDL. And they take your driver's license. How you gonna do that?
Registration on your car?
Yeah. Because you back on child support.
Yeah.
I'm a parent, married, 2 children. And my responsibility as a parent never goes away whether or not I'm working or not. You can't have a child and not take care of your responsibility.
When it came to Walter, my brother's situation, my mother them had rescued him several times.
From?
Picking up his rear in child support.
Okay.
They paid it up, caught it up, and he would always get back behind again. And even when he was continually paying.
Walter may have been behind in his child support payments, but he was involved and active in his children's lives. His children were staying and visiting him the weekend that he was actually murdered.
The other big story we're covering tonight, the police shooting death of an apparently unarmed man.
Today in North Charleston, the anger boiled over.
We just want this thing to change where no other family would have to suffer the way my family is suffering right now.
A deadly encounter between Walter Scott and police officer Michael Slager began with a traffic stop for a broken taillight.
It was a fateful decision. The moment Walter Scott decided to bolt from his car.
There's no justification for what I see on that video.
I don't know why Walter ran. He took that to the grave with him. But I think that's where the child support may have played a part. It wasn't like he was trying to hurt his children. He was caught up in the system.
A warrant had been issued for Scott's arrest. Court documents show he owed more than $18,000 in child support payments.
Can you get a court-appointed attorney to represent you in a child support case?
No.
Only in a criminal case. It's about access. Access of money. But does the judge give the father
information about what his rights are as a father.
Like 40 people in there, he moving cases in and out. He ain't got time to educate you.
And you have no idea that you could get joint custody, shared custody.
That's not their job. The ultimate goal in family court should be what? The child's best interest.
To preserve the family.
Yes. But if the dad is not in the child's life, how's that preserving the family?
Because I don't think the current system is created to preserve family.
No, it's not.
I think the current system is created to make it more punitive to parents.
Once he got out, the child support was still being due, but he was not able to pay because he lost his job for being arrested. How does the system expect you to catch up when you're locked up? He'd already been arrested twice prior to him getting murdered. I believe Walter was not a deadbeat dad. After paying thousands of dollars back, then still being behind, there was no catching up. So what do you do? I don't think a man should have to die or feel so upset about the child support system that you don't care and you're gonna run for your life.
I didn't have the father figure in my life. I didn't know how to be a man.
If he was really present in my life, I would probably, not be chasing boys.
As far as relationships go, I have a lot of trust issues now.
I don't see the point in allowing someone to get close to you if at the end of the day they're just going to hurt you.
I cause a lot of depression, anger.
I just can't call him dad right now because he was never there.
How would the lives of these children have been different if the courts assumed that both parents should be equally involved?
A new bill making its way through Lansing would make default custody 50-50 for both the mother and the father following a divorce.
Public support for it is huge. The legislators told me that they had more calls to support the shared parenting bill than they did the football stadium.
This bill sets the stage so a child, which is in their best interest.
Residential responsibility is the best for the children.
It presumes both parents are fit.
We need more clarity in law to support what is best for children, shared parenting, and this helps move in that direction.
In any family, whether it's a man and man, women and women, it doesn't matter. There's a yin and a yang, and that's what makes a family work.
Put in there your research.
A default shared parenting plan would be when two people are separating, it would be presumed that both parents will have an equal role in terms of decision-making and custody with their children. If there is abuse or some other problem, then you would have a custody evaluation happen.
We now have abundant research that shows that children do much better if they have shared parenting.
It's even more important for children who are going through divorce to have a healthy relationship with both parents because it buffers them from the conflict.
We just assume that children who move 50 times a year would be more stressed than those who live only with one parent.
The packing did suck, but I got to see them every other week, and now looking back, I appreciate it a lot more.
I am convinced that the Swedish system where you don't have any money to gain from a divorce is beneficial for children. We have a system where very few separating couples go to court. Most people just solve this between themselves.
We have this form. It's an agreement that we share the custody of our son.
You just print it out, sign it, and send it.
We don't have to go to court or hire a lawyer or anything to do this.
In Malmö, Sweden, sisters Eleanor and Anna have spent equal time with their parents since they separated over 15 years ago.
It works, does it?
We have two different lives, more or less. You know, you have your life at mum and your house at mum, and then you've got your life at dad's. I find that really fun.
Hungry.
The 21st.
In Sweden, it's not really a decision. It's very hard to remove the guardianship from one parent. That parent has to be really, really unfit. Otherwise, you know, you're stuck with them.
What parents discuss in Sweden when they split up is how the children should live more than money.
It's obviously not perfect. If one of the parents doesn't want to cooperate and makes it difficult, then they're always going to do that. But if the basis of the law is going to be split evenly and both parents are going to be involved, then at least you have a better starting point.
Think about the child. It's not just what you want, it's what they're going to grow up with and what they're going to have. And this is their life too, it's not just yours.
Great news is also that if the marriage itself was more conflictual, but you learn to get along better afterwards, kids do much better.
If default shared parenting became the norm, the legal system could be more focused on things that really are significant, documented child abuse cases. It would be wonderful if people thought, this is sort of where we're starting, and only if we prove that we cannot do it, that's when we have to move to this adversarial process. It would really change the face of how people manage divorces.
When parents can't reach an agreement on their own, mediation can provide an alternative to a courtroom trial and help them work together in the best interests of their children.
My theory on litigation is if any custody case gets in front of a judge, there is a mental health problem. Either one or both of the litigants have mental health issues, or possibly the lawyers do.
If you spend 2 or 3 days saying everything bad you can think of about the other person, and I award some sort of a joint custody arrangement, it's hard to undo the damage and have people walk out and parent together. Baltimore County decided to put on court staff, mediators who worked just in the courthouse, just doing court mediation. I don't know of another court that has on-staff mediators that can provide high-quality outcome.
She'll make some recommendations to hopefully assist the family in resolving it amicably and without the need to try the case in court.
I've seen it many times where parents go in angry, aggressive.
Tell them that they're
Yes,
drunk.
you do.
They know you
Stop.
are.
What is it that would help you to move forward? And by the end of a mediation session, they're actually helping each other.
I mean, at the end of the day, you'll have a trial and a judge will make a decision. Somebody always feels like they won, somebody feels like they lost. They don't buy into the outcome. It's not the best way to get to a good result. You want a child to have as good a relationship as they can have with both parents. And you want it to be as smooth as you can make it.
There's a lot of incentives to keep things the way they are, particularly by the American Bar Association and other folks.
There's a lot of money in divorce, and with shared parenting, there's less conflict, fewer billable hours.
Pay up and you're on your way to getting rid of that vermin you call a spouse.
There's very real potential for this state to lose federal funding, and I'm talking millions, possibly hundreds of millions of dollars. This issue has not been addressed by those in favor of this law.
What's in the best interest of the kid is not to worry about how much federal dollars we're going to get for food stamps in this country.
ridiculous.
I represent the Family Law Foundation. The foundation is respectfully against the bill.
In Florida, when the bill advanced through the Senate and the House and was on its way to the governor, the Bar Association spent $110,000 to hire emergency lobbyists to defeat the bill. In North Dakota, they've been sued and lost because they misused $70,000 to run an advertising campaign against the shared parenting ballot initiative.
Until the system is redesigned to help families, Ashlyn, Lauren, Brian, and countless others will attempt to heal their families on their own.
My advice to parents divorcing with kids is to be respectful to each other and watch how you act around your children.
I would ask her if she could keep my siblings and I out of it. I know she didn't do it intentionally.
They need to always let the child know that there's love and support no matter what happens.
To just be there for your kids.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
By the way, I have a new line of essential oils I'm carrying now, geared for beards. I was right in the middle of doing a hair color. I turn around and here's my wife Kelly and my other daughter Caroline, and then I saw her.
And he dropped his hair dryer and just ran to me. And we both started crying, and the whole salon started clapping. Like everybody knew the story.
It was like a scene out of a movie.
It was awesome. It's probably one of the best moments of my life. It's amazing living with my dad. He's great. He is someone that I can always talk to. He's nothing like I was told he was, not even in the slightest.
I'll go through anything and everything with you, side by side. Just like I said, when you decide to get your GED and we do it, I'll go with you and I'll do it too. My daughter here and I have been alienated from each other for the majority of her life. She called me and said, "Dad, it's time to move home," and she came home. Well, I made the mistake when she was 10 years old to sign my rights away. I never got to see them again.
Which was part of the deal.
Yeah. In about 10 minutes, we're going to leave for the courthouse to file paperwork so I can legally readopt my daughter. So she will be my daughter once again in the eyes of the law. Whereas in our hearts, we know, and it doesn't matter, she's my little girl. If something was to happen, she wants to make sure that myself and her stepmom, soon to be on the paperwork, her adopted mom, will be the ones to make those tough choices if they ever need to be made.
I think she's always gonna be my mom, and I'm always gonna love her. It's just, she kind of lost the title of mom.
To just want to totally cut out one set and go with the other set, it was hard. After a while, I felt like since I had kind of done a similar thing, maybe I just need to back off and give it some time and go from there.
If you could talk to her right now, what would you tell her?
I could talk to her right now. I don't even know what I would say. I would just be so happy that she's talking to me.
Sometimes when you see children as they grow up choose a side, perhaps even going towards the parent that they didn't grow up with and rejecting the parent that they did grow up with, what they're trying to do is avoid conflict. It would be great if they could find a way to have relationships with both parents, and as they grow up, be able to explain to both parents, I'm not getting in the middle of this, I'm going to have a relationship with both of you, and I don't want to hear it, basically. But I don't think that all children feel that assertive even as they grow up.
After a decade together, Brian's dad, Rick, and his stepmom, Karen, divorced. Once again, Brian found himself torn between two parents.
I believe I was about 22 when Karen and Rick got divorced. For like the first few months, like of the separation, like I would flip-flop, like, no, my dad's right, so I need to stand by his side. I need to be loyal to him. Then I'd be like, Karen's right, no, I need to stay by her. I think after so many months, like I realized like it was just tearing me apart. And that's when I was like, I'm not gonna deal with their shit.
Hey, baby, how are you?
I think that's probably why like I was able to have that relationship with Caroline as well. It's like I could choose this route of what some people call loyalty, or I could choose the route of having my own independent relationships.
And your sister was sitting in the back seat. Guess who that is?
It's a good-looking kid.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing me. Now that we do have a relationship, I look to try to find some of those good memories, and it's been exceedingly difficult. Seeing these, I feel like I don't remember any of them.
It had nothing to do with you. I wanted to get down there, and there were times where your dad and Karen would tell me that either you didn't want me to come down or you had stuff going on. I wasn't able to force myself in there because they wouldn't let me.
I think that where I sit is like the child. I wanted you there to have someone nearby, knowing that I could go there when I was ready to. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, I didn't know that you felt that way. I didn't think you wanted me there.
I can understand what you're saying. And I get it. I mean, you have to, as an adult, you're thinking about like taking care of yourself and trying to figure it out and move on. It's like, how far do you push?
At one point, your stepmom sent me some pictures that we had taken with us in it, and she cut me out of the pictures and sent me the other part back with a note that said, "Thought you might want these, Kay." And it destroyed me, and it broke my heart, and I didn't know what to do.
It's not like I cut her out of him, because obviously in the photo album there's lots of pictures of her. The people that I was with were just like, oh, we'll just throw them away. And I was like, no, that's kind of weird. Like, I'm just gonna send them back to her.
I've judged you guys, I've judged all of you for different actions, and it's like, we still don't always mesh at the same time, and we have our disagreements, but I learn more from those than I do from being alone. And I don't like that more than having to go through it and just forgive and move on.
Life right now is just forgiving and moving on.
It's so much, like, it's so much easier just not dealing with people's shit.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever had a desire to win, because I didn't feel like I ever could. But I did have a desire at some point to be right. All that stuff doesn't matter anymore.
What matters is where we're at right now.
I think that was the best thing that happened to me in a really long time.
Hearing
you call me Mom.
Why are you trying to talk to your brother so much if he's so rude?
I'm trying to talk to my brother because he's my brother and I miss him and I love him, and I'm trying to convince him to snap out of it, you know?
She feels like her only solution is to try and talk to her brother and convince him to come back.
My actions do not put me in the wrong, as your mom has caused me so much trouble over the years. I want a relationship, but if you cannot respect that I don't want anything to do with her, then we will have to wait until you're older to talk. I said, it kind of seems like you hate Mom more than you love me. I did have to grow up a bit faster and cope with all of these big words like alienation. You can tell Mom that I now have this conversation of proof that you've been alienated against me. I think I might send this to my lawyer because I'm not alienated, you are. I said, why can't we just be normal siblings and talk about normal things? Even though we aren't normal, why can't we pretend like we are?
I never believed this could be possible. To be here today. Ash, you don't just live here. Today we get to fix the wrong.
How do you think Chelsea will react?
I forgive that she doesn't care, and I've moved on from that. And I just have no interest on the subject. But it's different when you're a dad.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to focus on the daughters that are here, that need their dad, that want their dad. So, that's where my focus is. All right, we're off.
I am writing this letter regarding a legal adult adoption between my stepmother and my birth father.
My biggest fear here is that because I sign my rights away, the judge is going to look at this case a little bit differently.
My birth mother alienated me from my birth father for over a decade.
I mean, I'm a father that, quote unquote, voluntarily relinquished my parental rights, and now I'm trying to get them back. How are you doing?
You didn't have it back. I was trying to stop. Don't drop it.
You know what? I am preparing myself for anything. Because, I mean, there's an order of protection in place right now. I mean, that's on my record. They run my name, they see an order of protection. It's going to list who it is. It's going to list the children. What if the judge says no? I can't even think about that.
This adoption is the missing piece to my puzzle. Not the ending to my story, but a new beginning. Sincerely, Ashlyn Marie Lerner.
Okay, so congratulations.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm glad you all got back together.
Me too. Thank you. Thank you.
How about a picture? You know, I do recall this Lerner case. I think I may have had him in front of me when I was in my family law assignment. It was a very emotional adoption.
I love you so much.
It's interesting that Ashlyn told me one thing that bothered her was that nobody ever checked up on her to see how she was doing.
You know, in family law, we only address what is in front of us. We don't go check up and say, hey, how did that work out? We don't. We're so busy, and there's just no avenue to do that. We expect if people are having problems, then they are to bring that issue to court so we can address it.
What if getting help to reunite with your erased child didn't depend on you going back to family court, hiring a lawyer, or navigating a complex legal process on your own? What if all the resources spent on child support enforcement and adversarial court trials were spent on promoting shared parenting, affordable mediation, and access to mental health services? Until then, children like Ashlyn, Lauren, Brian, and Candace are reaching out to erased family members on their own. With no help or resources, the results can be bittersweet.
It's weird when I think about the fact that Ashlyn and I don't legally have the same parents. But I know she's still my sister.
Filming these kids has taught me that even if a parent isn't perfect, and none are, erasing a parent does lasting harm. We need to stop assigning blame and start helping parents to be in their kids' lives.
It has been 8 months since I've seen my children. It's been over 4 years since I've been able to hug them, hold their hand, or take their picture.
I haven't seen my sisters for 4.5 years.
I haven't seen my daughters for more than 5 years.
I haven't seen you in almost 2 years.
My son here, who's 3 years old, has not been able to meet his 2 other siblings.
They went to me when I was a baby.
We wanted to tell you how much we miss you.
I want to let him know how much his dad loves him.
I just wanted to share some of the pain that I felt.
Te extraño mucho.
I love them, and I'm here for them.
We were best friends.
Je t'aime beaucoup.
I want you to come home.
And I want to just see your smile again.
And I'm sad to say I'm an erased mommy.
I'm an erased dad.
I'm an erased sister.
And I do believe that one day we will reunite.
I took my time getting off that plane. Thought to myself, is this a good idea or just insane? All this way for a man I've never met. His name ain't even on my birth certificate. He's nervous too, I bet. So much inside me I would like to say, but I'll just say,
baggage zone. I couldn't feel any more alone. Is this the way she felt the last 18 years? Thinking I chose not to be around. I had no idea until she found me. And now she's standing here. I didn't want to let the words get in the way, so I just said, hey. Hey, I'm glad to finally meet you. Share my story, what I've been through, to find the part of me that I never knew. Time and distance seem so small now. Kinda takes my breath away. How much of me I see when I look at you. A new chapter in my life began today when you said, hey. I know that this must be so hard for you. I think it's so brave that you asked me to. I wasn't sure of the right thing to do till I heard that little word, and then I knew. Hey, I'm glad to finally meet you. Share my story, what I've been through, to find the part of me that I never knew. Time and distance seem so small now. Kinda takes my breath away. How much of me I see when I look at you. A new chapter in my life began today when you said, hey. A new world opened up for me today when you said